And so like he was looking over my workouts, and I missed a lot of workouts, like a lot of workouts.
Yeah.
And he was like he's trying to help me, but like if you don't, like if I tell you to do things and then you just do none of them,
yeah,
like I don't have a lot for you. So I guess I'm gonna assign some more, and then we'll talk on the 31st. And it's like it just makes you feel like crap, which is what you're paying them for, right?
What you're paying,
you're paying somebody to make you feel bad that when you do the things, when you don't do the things you know are important to where you want to be.
Yeah, if you got the goals that's what you want. Like if you don't have that as a goal, then
yeah, you didn't care.
Sign me up for just feeling physically awful, random, and then eventually you just start feeling really good. Jay says it's that time of the week. Welcome in, Jace. How you doing today, dude?
Got a new hat.
It's a spiffy hat, dude. Is that a teal?
Yeah, it is a teal. If my green screen was on, I'd have an invisible head.
Whoa. That would be awesome. That'd be fantastic. What else has been going on with you, man? It's been a week. We sat down with Dave Jaffe last week, talked about kind of our games of the year. This week is just kind of the news in and of itself isn't so much MMO related because Gamescom is next week, so we'll do some predictions and stuff like that. But
yeah,
what you been playing?
In the last week, I worked a lot because I am now off all but one day out of the next 9.
Yeah.
Because I'm gonna get out of town. I'm gonna get out of this heat. So I'm getting on a plane tomorrow, and then so I won't be here, but I'll be gone. Excited about that.
Leaving on a jet plane.
Leaving on a jet plane. Yeah, that'll be great. So I've been working a lot. I played a couple rounds of StarCraft 2. I'm terrible. I'm so
bad at Star. I'm so bad at that game.
I'm so bad. And what's crazy is in my win history, it's like it's showing all these losses right now because I'm terrible. And then, but like it still tracks back far enough that like before I came back to it, my previous was 10 years ago.
Yeah,
I took 10 years off the game, and then I played some Age of Empires last night.
Chili, I love you, dude. This is so you're in a penguin suit. Holy freaking crap, dude. Unexpected. You got the bill and it covered your face. Welcome in, Chili, guys. I was sitting here, Chili and I keep saying, like, we need to get together and just podcast a little bit, talk about what's going on. And it's just like, I don't know. I really suck at, scheduling and things like that. So are you able to hear us, Chili?
Yeah, I can hear you. I could hear you double, in fact, so that was the issue.
Ooh. Oh, there we go. Well, welcome in.
Why is this camera causing such issues? And it looks okay on my side, but on here it looks horrible.
I don't know, man. Maybe it's just how it is, but it's a wild suit, dude.
Thank you. Okay, I've unclicked touch up my appearance. That seems to have worked.
Okay, cool.
So, hi.
Hi. All right, so Chris was just catching us up to speed. He's been playing some StarCraft 2. Anything else going on gaming wise for you right now, Chris?
No. I wish I could take Baldur's Gate 3 on the road.
Ooh, baby.
I mean, technically you could. You got Steam Deck if you had one.
I don't have a Steam Deck, and it hasn't released on Mac yet, has it?
No.
It's going to. I think. Is it going to?
It's on GeForce Now.
Yeah, but I can't access GeForce Now on a plane.
Well, that's true.
Yeah, that's true.
That would be the benefit, right? It's
yeah.
like when you can spend a 3-hour flight just digging into a good game.
Wolf of the Fallen says, I missed hearing from you guys all the time. Well, thanks, Wolf. That's really kind. Chris has been crushing it at the new job.
I said I'm gonna start doing content creation on Thursdays, and I told Brian, I was like, the thing about a habit is once you say you start doing it, just do what you can. Because like I said Thursdays, I was like, but just to be clear, my next 2 Thursdays both are really busy. But like I don't want to like wait, right? Like if you have the desire to start doing something, don't like let yourself go, well, but the first 2 weeks don't count. It's like, no, just they can be bad weeks, but like put up something. Like if you say you're gonna work out and then it's raining, it's like, well then like do some push-ups inside. Like just put something on the board.
Put it on the board.
That way, when the weather gets nice, you haven't let yourself already give up. So I'm looking forward to when my Thursdays are wide open and we can do some nice big long streams. Be great.
Chili, what you gaming? What you playing? What you doing? We haven't actually sat down and talked in a real live situation. Obviously, since the big Xbox Final Fantasy, Dawntrail announcement.
Yeah.
So, man, dude, what's been going on with you? Also, Nebulink is asking, who is the guest of the week? Who is this mysterious penguin? So, also, please plug all the great stuff that you put out on the internet.
Hi, it's me, Chili from Moogle Go Around Radio. This was the outfit I used to celebrate us hitting 1,000 followers. I thought it's right behind me, so I might as well just keep it and wear it one more time because I've only worn it once. And I thought, well, I'll surprise work again by wearing it again.
It is shocking. I like it.
I'm sorry.
For those of you who are just in the audio version of the podcast, which, guys, if you aren't aware, the podcast is streamed in audio forms all over the internet, wherever you get your podcasts. This podcast is called Crystal Core Radio. And Monday, I'm bringing Epic Loot Radio to the Work to Game channel. So we're going to have that as well. So you can subscribe to both. So Chili is in a full penguin suit with a bill that's covering his face and a giant red bow tie.
I cannot see anything. I can barely see anything at all.
Game the Brave asks,
it's
are
great.
we drinking? And I'm not for the next 3 years, so I will bust out some alcohol at my 45th birthday here in 3 years. But for the short term, I am not drinking.
I have water,
and I do not drink, so
I got coffee.
But no, yeah, I've been playing a lot of Fantasy 11 recently.
Ooh,
I never beat some of the later expansions, so I've been going through that again.
nice.
And 11 is really fast, so it's insane. Like I've got nearly 2 jobs at 70 in just over 20 hours.
And this is the retail version, correct?
Yeah, this is retail.
Yeah.
So
Man, if it was that would have been something that would have just blown my mind twice if they were like, Final Fantasy 14's finally coming to Xbox, and we're also going to be bringing back Final Fantasy 11, which was on the Xbox 360. I think that would be wild. So many people thought that game shut down when it left consoles. People would see like me playing or streaming it, and they're like, I thought they shut the servers down. It's like, no, they just turned off console access. And I always like, I get it from an engineering perspective, but that's why Chris and I've talked about it. Like, I wish they just pushed the game to just the browser. Like, you could stream this game from a browser. It's not
Guild Wars 2 dropped Mac support at some point, and so you have to wonder if there are people who just lost access and what it was is Mac at a certain point said they were no longer going to maintain security protocols for anything that wasn't 64-bit. And they announced it like 2 years in advance. They just said, hey, we are not going to allow anybody to install anything that doesn't run 64-bit. We're going to drop support for it. And it was way in advance. They're like, this many operating systems from now, we're just giving all the app developers a heads up. The developer kits and all that, it's all dropping. And that was why I got so excited when Final Fantasy 14 announced that they would be getting Mac support in Shadowbringers, because that was going to be the first expansion after that drop dead date. And that's the same time that Guild Wars said, see you, Mac. We're not touching that. Which is interesting because long term, you end up on 64-bit anyway, right? Like long term,
right?
Like it's not like, well, if we don't do it now, we'll never have to do it. Like that's
not how it
works.
By the way, talking about the 360 store, they did just officially announce that the 360 store is shutting in, I think it's June 2024.
Yeah, they're shutting that one down.
Yeah,
but apparently,
do you think it's because they are in the middle of buying a
big old company that
a company that has a better store, better in every way. Your brother and I, the Yeti, was playing games with us last night, and we got him to play StarCraft 2 for his first time last week.
Yeah.
And he didn't want to do it, and we dragged him into a lobby. We did some team games. We didn't pick on him too hard. And we were kind of coaching him in chat, just kind of telling him, and he was asking questions, and we were kind of coaching him through the early game. We're just kind of explaining that it's kind of like learning chess, right? Like you're going to lose a lot of games, but like just know that each game you're getting better at the first turn, and then the second turn, and then the third turn. But like you're going to keep losing, but like you are getting better. And until you can like finish a game where you didn't like just utterly not know what to do next, you really can't get better at the whole thing until you can play the whole thing.
Yeah.
And so it's a lot to learn because he's way behind because he's never been into RTSs. So then this week we tried to talk him into StarCraft 2 again. He goes, I'm not going to do that. That was wildly stressful. It was too much learning. I don't have the energy this week. But he was willing to do Age of Empires with us because he thought that was slower, which it's not. He's like, Chris, how do you know so much stuff? And it's like, it's not familiar. It's still an RTS. But he goes, I have to admit, as I install and boot up Age of Empires, which is like 4 gig, and free on Game Pass Ultimate if you have the PC. Not that the definitive edition's like expensive or anything. It's like a $12 game or something. But he said, I have to admit, that battle.net thing was kind of mind-blowing.
It's mind-blowing.
It's
mind blowing. That's what it's like.
It's the best part of all of Blizzard. Like, they have some good games, and some of those games have had really great years. But the battle.net experience is the unsung hero. Like,
yeah. So I'm pulling up literally the Xbox app right now, and it is so clunky, and it's so difficult to install games, and it's just such a pain that ultimately that all it is that all I want is like, just make battle.net your Xbox PC store and get that going. And I think that's going to be great. The nice thing is you can cloud stream from the Xbox app now, but it doesn't, like the PlayStation. PS5 is going to be offering a cloud PS5 solution here they're testing out. And they're already like, if you own the games, we're just going to let you stream your games. So that's actually a really good thing. Hopefully that pushes
only
Xbox
certain
forward.
Games. Only certain games.
I'm assuming there's going to be that process of vetting that, or there. I'm starting to wonder, do you think there's like a licensing fee that a lot of the publishers are holding out on, saying, this is a license for installing the game locally, but if you want to add it into your streaming service, just because there's a constant set of revenue, I'm wondering if they're trying to like negotiate some form of like, okay, just give us an additional fee.
Well, isn't that basically what happened with NVIDIA GeForce Now?
That's what we don't know any legal terms, but that's the feeling, because Square Enix just brought Octopath Traveler 1 and 2 to GeForce Now, and that's their first, like, they don't have any other games on the platform just yet. So I'm hoping that people are like, okay, like whatever that is. I'm assuming it's not ridiculous, but at least something where they're like, give us a cut, because we know that you're selling your service, and if our game's there as well, we'd like a little bit of that cheddar.
Makes a big difference. It does. It's great. And like, if that has to be a timed thing, like, hey, we want people with hardware to buy it for sure, and once we run out of people with hardware that are going to buy the game, we'll sell it to people without hardware. My brother's college computer, to update you guys, I'd been telling you for years that he's been on GeForce Now to keep his old computer up. So the update to the story is he finally now has a computer so old that it can't actually run a browser successfully anymore.
Oh no.
So he can't run GeForce Now. So he had to go buy a laptop at Costco. Just a cheap netbook with enough RAM that he could run a browser so he could go back to GeForce Now. So his GeForce Now, he's like, it's awesome. Now I can do GeForce Now from the couch. Because he's no longer tied to his like 15-year-old gaming PC that it's shocking it was still running. He's like, and I didn't realize how loud it had gotten. You know how loud a computer gets in their late days? Like in their
laptops get loud.
So
my laptop is loud nowadays. My laptop's only 5 years old, but it's getting there.
Man, I tip of the hat to y'all who like laptops. I've never been a big laptop type of guy. I always felt from $1 per like unit of power, some magical theory, like that you're just paying a premium to be able to move the device around. And in the age of tablets, like I'd rather have like a Surface Pro if I was going to be more mobile, but that's just my weirdness.
So I always heard Guild Wars 2 to go back dropped support for Mac, and so based on the timeline, it feels like it was the right time. That I just assumed it was for the same reasons that I thought Final Fantasy might drop Mac support. But Nevik is saying it's actually that they just didn't want to be on OpenGL. Or that they didn't want to, due to OpenGL they dropped support. So minor correction there. Either way, it's game is old. We don't want to update it. Max said
it costs money. It costs money, and then that's just like the same thing with Final Fantasy 14 and still being supported by the PS4, is that you look at your total population. At some point, that population is going to be a difficult conversation to justify the additional cost of deploying like again, every update for like not just the PS4, but the PS4 and the PS4 Pro. Those are two different SKUs that have to be rolled out.
Well, they're different SKUs, but they're basically the same hardware, it's just with more cores.
I
like, you know how they.
I believe YoshiP talked about how like every like targeted platform, because they have features that you can turn on the PS4 Pro for.
So they're different products, and we have to test them and get them approved separately. So like, yes, you might be able to use a similar dev team for one platform and another because the ecosystems might be similar, but they still have to finish one project separately from another project. They might even be doing them in parallel. But
they might be using PS5 kits nowadays to do it.
Talk about how hard it was to bring PS5 on at the same time as kind of ramping up for an expansion, and that's why they weren't adding Xbox support. Which now, based on the timeline, makes it seem like the moment they finished working on PS5, they began working on Xbox support, because that would time it out with right now.
Do you think and wonder if they're also still working kind of on a bigger deal with Microsoft? Because based off the wording that Phil Spencer used, that it seems to, in my mind, we haven't seen any actionable data, but I would expect that based off of his language that we will see the pixel remasters. We will finally see 7R and all the
Game Pass?
Not necessarily in Game Pass, but at least just
we're going to get pixel remasters in Game Pass. We're going to get that right.
I won't be shocked if it is. Yeah.
So Phil Spencer said, God, it's probably been 3 years or so, maybe more. He said that there is a stereotype out there that JRPG players, like if that's their sole game genre, are unlikely to buy an Xbox because they don't have a strong JRPG presence. And JRPG companies don't want to develop for the platform exclusively or even make a big effort towards it because they know that they're not going to have a lot of conversion from players that's their core game type. And so it's just like, if you play multiple game types, it might work out, but you know, he was definitely acknowledging that. And he said, but it's not the gaming company's job to make the games for a player base that's not there. And it's not the player base's job to buy a platform for games that aren't there. It's Xbox's job to put money in and invest and trust that both sides will come. So he said that, but he said it in a way that made it sound like it was going to take a long time. I don't remember the exact wording, but it sounded like this is going to take effort. Like we have to undo this lack of love that we've tossed, you know, one of the millions of genres of games now. And so it does feel like Square Enix coming more on board is one of the milestones in that journey, in helping bring on like true JRPG games. And they're not the only one. I feel like the Persona crowd, you can go snap a bunch of tweets from years ago when people were like, that'll never come to Xbox. That'll never, ever, ever, ever come to Xbox. And it's like, well,
the never is such a strong word. Never such a strong word. Somebody said it. Final Fantasy 14 is never coming to Xbox, and then the next day, never is like. It's not like I wouldn't say never. I'd say it might be a journey. Like I don't know a time frame, but that's where we are. Nevin Link says the Blue Dragon didn't do well on the 360. I don't know if y'all ever played Blue Dragon on the Xbox 360. Also, Lost Odyssey, absolutely banger of RPGs, and I really wish that, especially that Microsoft would, you know, continue to invest in that. And if you haven't had the opportunity to ever play both of those, I think they're fantastic, and it's great to see, like chat saying, Neil, great to see JRPGs coming to Xbox. It's 100% right. It's like it's kind of the chicken and the egg, but that's where I've always made the argument. Like Microsoft has big enough pockets. This isn't like I'm not worried about them financially.
No, they can invite
themselves. They can invite everybody to this party.
We're bringing all the chickens and all the eggs.
If you got a food allergy, they have a whole room dedicated to you, so you don't have to worry about getting any kind of cross contamination. You know, like that's like they're that big, and it's like let's go. And it always, for me, like I've always said, the hardest thing is to be somebody who likes playing on the Xbox, who also likes Final Fantasy. That's been like this, you know, cognitive dissonance that I've always had to kind of deal with. It's like, well, yeah, I wouldn't mind getting that game if it existed, you know, like I don't mind actually supporting those games when they show up.
issue is that it just doesn't sell that well. Like, look at 15. 15 launch on both the Xbox and the PlayStation, day and day. But the split between the two was insane. If I'm rightly right, I was looking online. The PS4, I think, was like 2.2 million sales, like day one, like first week, versus 100,000 on the Xbox.
But that was Phil Spencer's point. If we don't start making it a place where people know they can get more than just that one game, those numbers won't go up. Like, you have to invest in the whole thing.
Right.
So,
because everybody else is like, well,
the distance between 2 million and 100,000, he's saying, is actually much smaller. Like, we don't need to multiply it by 20. We need to multiply it by 2, 3, or 4 to get it to where there's enough of a group that we're starting to get more games, which will get more people. It's the same as anything else, right? So, like, I'm streaming here on Twitch, and like the distance between the top watched person on Twitch and the next person makes it seem like you would have to double, triple, quadruple, multiply by 10, but that's not true. They're just 1 or 2 rankings above, and it just snowballs. It's how money works. Is people who can put money away have usually the ability later on to put more money away. And as they put more money away, they have the ability to put even more money away. I have a buddy that's trying to retire early, and good on him. And he's financially, he's been working on this for a long time. So I sometimes get intimidated by just how much more financially set he is than me. But he has a investment account that he pulls off one mortgage payment every year. The first time he told me about this. And he goes, so I never pay my mortgage in December. Every December, I have this account that pays my mortgage. And I asked him this week, I said, how's that going, by the way? And he goes, it now pays October, November, and December, which then he's taking all that money and he's further putting into that account. Yeah. So he's like, my goal is to get it to where all 12 months, and then he just never pays a mortgage again because his mortgage is such a low interest rate and it's outperforming it. So he's gonna go from 3 months to 6 months, and he's gonna go from 6 months all the way to 12 months. Like, it'll go that fast.
Yeah.
There's the first 7 years of his decade of saving, there was very little progress.
That's pretty crazy.
Well, that's crazy. That's the power of compound interest. That's the power of what you end up having a lot of these. And it's hard to understand. It's hard to start to wrap your mind around, like, something that you've never lived in, and which is essentially just like a financial level of security and opulence that, like, you have to develop it. Well, and the thing is,
I'm trying to get to where now I don't pay my mortgage in December.
Right. That's the math in and of itself makes sense, but it ends up being more, like you said, it's actually like more of just a human discipline to try and start doing that. Outside of those who are just like, if you're just living paycheck to paycheck, and like, but when you get to a point where you're like, okay, can I not have that coffee today, or start, like, how can I develop that habit, that ritual almost, that it's like you're paying yourself in the future. And, you know, so I've been saving for retirement since I was 20, and it's like I'm liking to see how the numbers look now. You know, and so it's like that's for me, like when we talk about like full-time content creator, it's like, yeah, when I officially retire, like when I'm like, then you might see me stream a lot more. I'll be gray bearded at that point, but it's still going to be like just enjoyable.
If anybody wants to know that math, it's 25 times is the conservative number. The real number is probably lower than that, but 25 times your mortgage payment. And your mortgage payment will pull off that account in perpetuity, which your mortgage isn't in perpetuity. So that would allow you to, like, theoretically continue to upgrade that house into the next house. You could always have a payment. You'll have that money forever. So if your mortgage payment is $1,000 a month, which most people here in the US is above that, then you would need $25,000, which, when you say it like that, like $25,000 is a lot of money, but it's an amount of money that we're all, like, at least capable of understanding how much we would have to work at our jobs to get to it.
Yeah.
Right. And that might be a year, that might be 2 years, that might be 3 years, but it is a number that you can fathom, as opposed to when you talk about like lottery winners or like all these tech millionaires and stuff. You're like, I can't even fathom the amount of money they have. Like, I cannot, it doesn't even seem like it's in the same unit as what I buy a burrito in. Like, it doesn't even feel like those are both dollars. So it's $25,000 kind of per month. If your mortgage payment's about $1,000, mine's more than that. Most people are. So I am trying to save towards that.
That's
awesome,
awesome,
chip away at it. And then
chip
that'll be
away.
1 month.
Yeah.
And then that means every year now that month would be a really easy month to save a lot, or to recover from, you know, like the fact that my Jeep broke 3 times in a month.
Yeah, you just paid $3,000 to fix up your Jeep in this month.
Yeah, that made that $25,000 feel
back.
real dumb. And you're like,
I finally got my truck back. So Chris's Jeep Bros, like right now, my truck, I've spent $8,000 in repairs in 2023, and I've driven it to Chris's house once, to my parents' house where it eventually died again, and then I drove it back here where it broke again, and then I had it towed back to the shop, and then I drove it back here, and now it's working. So like I've had the most expensive drives, and I'm scared to take it out. I'm scared that if it's just gonna die on me again. I was like, okay, like I got this little PTSD from like this insane money pit of a vehicle that I have access to.
My Jeep broke down when I went to get a smoothie for free Upsize Fridays.
Yeah.
And it broke down there. And so then this week I was running late one of the mornings, and I went to go get a smoothie, and I pulled into the parking lot, and I went, when I started it, like I felt myself inhale, and like you know, you get that like defensive posture, like is it gonna leave me stranded in the Smoothie King parking lot again? Like I pulled in, I parked in the spot, and I parked in a spot that I chose a spot that would be easier to be towed out of.
That's smart.
So I had to walk. So I have to walk a couple shops down because I parked in a spot knowing I might have to be towed from here. As if it's Smoothie King that broke my Jeep. Like it's not. Yeah. It's not. It's just
damn you, Smoothie King.
So 8K in repairs. Seems like you should buy a new truck. It seems like you did buy a new truck.
Feels like it did. The so it didn't all come at once, right? Like it's like, okay, well, we just need to do 2,000. It's like all of these little, and I call them micro transactions, but they're like anything but all of them was just like, yeah, a new, like going to find a used truck or like a new vehicle, like that's just way out of, there's just no way. Like the cost of that is still, and then at some point where you're like $8,000 in, you're like, fudge, like I could, like if I knew like on the first payment be like this is gonna be an $8,000 endeavor, then I would have been like, maybe I will go and take the effort and go shop that around. I want to ask you guys like obviously we're having lots of just random fun conversation here, but let's kind of get to the MMO discussion. I want to talk about Dawntrail. Julie just texted me. I got to run downstairs real quick, so Chris, I'll turn it over to you and I'll come back in and jump in on the conversation here in just a second.
Chili, how many times have you watched the trailer?
I have watched it a couple of times. Sorry, I'm getting very warm in this outfit. It is warm outside for August, and this is a very warm outfit. I am. Do
you need to go change?
Warm. Yes, I'll be right back if that's okay.
Okay. All right.
I'm sorry, everyone. I tried, but no.
All right. Oh, he left the call. I thought it was just going to be just me and a chair and a chair. I thought it was 3 chair time. Okay, he'll rejoin. Well, hello everybody. In theory, we're here to talk about Dawntrail, which is why we're like, I don't know, 27 minutes in, and the most we've talked about is Final Fantasy XIV coming to Xbox, which is part of it. Oh, he's back.
I did not leave the call. I just stopped the cam.
I'm supposed to run for an hour and 15 minutes. Continuous easy run today. That is the assigned workout. And last night, so yesterday I had a swim, and the reason you introduce swims into running training is because it's low impact. But swimming is something that's incredibly form based, as opposed to running is something that we all learn to do when we're a toddler, and you can get better at it, but like anybody with 2 legs that can walk can usually run, unless there's been some sort of medical change to that. So it's not like a wildly learned skill. We kind of all, the vast majority of humans on the planet have the ability to move quickly in some way. But with swimming, it's so form-based that it's only low impact if you're actually decent at it. Because last night I was having all these back spasms because I did my longest swim yet. For any of you swimmers out there, it was 800 yards. When I got to peak triathlon shape last year, I was doing 1,200 yard workouts. So I'm almost back up to that continuously. And like every time I set a record, I was like, oh, I'm going to go to 1,000. I'm going to go to 1,000. And I just got out at 800. I was like, no, last time you did 700, just do 800. That's plenty. I spent all night like foam rolling and alternating ice for the pain. I try not to ice. I think heat's healthier for you. It pushes the blood to it. But like literally it would be shooting pain. So I would ice till the shooting pain would go away. then I would wait a bit, and then I would heat to like push blood to the muscles so they can like heal long term. And then as they'd start to spasm again, it would be around and around and around and around. It was rough, man.
So Dawntrail.
So Dawntrail.
Oh, that trailer was amazing. It really was.
They've done a great job with the trailers, always making them like a hype event, and then obviously it's going to get longer. So what are you hoping to see more of when the trailer gets longer?
I'm expecting us to see one of the new jobs at least. I don't think we're going to see Corsair that people seem to be speculating. I know that people speculate he's got a sword and a gun and it's just been edited out, and I think it has been. But I don't think we're going to see that I think we're actually going to see Kryl in the new caster job.
Okay. I think Kryl would be
That's my
exciting.
fault.
I think people would lose their mind at Kryl. Like, we know that Kryl's going to take a big part, so like people lose their minds because we see it, not because we're like truly surprised by it. But I think Kryl would be a good choice. People have been pretty big on the when they would play it throughout the convention, anytime that it would just kind of play on the screens, especially in the morning when we were waiting. People would cheer every time they saw the taco. So
oh yeah, the taco was amazing.
Yeah, so I think
I was impressed by the fruit dropping as well with Alisei. I thought that was pretty cool. I know it wasn't a taco, but I still was impressed by that.
Dude, tacos, yes. I loved it. I called that out when I saw that. I was like, that makes me happy. So Chris, I don't know if you've already addressed it, but I know you've been doing geological surveys, especially around what they've seen with the theorists. So how do you feel about the shape of the continent?
I think it's Central and South America is where we're themed off of, and I think they've kind of put it in the right place. Their equator line is drawn too high, so like that's not how it actually lines up on their planet. And like weather-wise, I don't think it is either, because I don't know, maybe it is, but it does feel like, and then their wind roses are all over the place. Their wind roses and run lines are just chaos. So I assume that those, at best, we're explaining those as etherically based and not useful for navigating like wind currents and using star navigation. I assume they're implying that we're navigating by aether, which would be exciting because it would give us some sort of like Allegan GPS where you're navigating to like the nearest aetherite.
I mean, there's got to be some sort of magic involved, because I don't know if you saw, but there's a Lalafell behind the ship's, behind the actual boat's wheel, and he can't see over it. So there's got to be some magic involved of him working where they're going.
So hoping for some Indiana Jones. I do think that like there was moments in the Shadowbringers trailer where it felt like Thancred was kind of running from something. When he's like running up the stairs and everything, like it felt like this, you felt this sense of urgency. And the story of Dawntrail sounds like there's going to be kind of this sense of urgency that kind of carries you through the zones. That's less like ominous, all of life is descending like Endwalker. Feels like we might be running like from something or towards something or a race of some kind. So it'd be nice to see that in the trailer. Gentlemen,
I was gonna see if Chili had anything to add.
Well, I just said I'm excited because I'm going to be at the EU Fan Fest in October, so I'm excited to see the reaction to the slightly longer trailer. So I just can't wait to see what we're going to find out more. I am still expecting loads of Final Fantasy 11 references, especially Treasures of our Ugin with this expansion. I feel like we're going to get a lot of Treasures of our Ugin references.
Yeah, treasure maps, like we're looking for a City of Gold in the expansion, so like treasure maps feel like they can really point to something. So we could have treasure maps that send us to differing levels, kind of like Uznair style. So next expansion, we could absolutely have treasure hunts that send us into, the remnants of a City of Gold.
Do y'all feel like the entire expansion is going to take place as a part of like the new world and its zones, or what do you think? Are they going to reveal even more? Come European Fan Fest or something like that.
They only told us about 2 zones for the last 2 expansions, right? So like they sometimes tell us kind of what some of them are called, but like the exploration we got, I would think that we're done. I would think those 2 zones were probably done. Because they told us about Garlemald, and they didn't tell us we were going to the. Did they tell us we were going to the moon?
No.
So they didn't tell us we were going to the moon.
I thought they teased the moon like early on.
They teased it, obviously. Well, because like he's walked out in the trailer, right? Like, you know, that was oh, he's on the warrior lights on the moon. We're going to the moon, but like they didn't show off the zone.
They didn't say Marlam until
no.
They did talk about
Favnir, and we knew Garlemald,
and we also knew the underground zone that's drawing a blank on the name.
Labyrinthos,
but we didn't know that it was underground. We didn't
know they like showed us art from it. They like used it as like a placeholder for something. Where like, oh, that's so pretty. And I think people was, like, a watercolor that especially may have been Elpis, but like I guess I thought it was still Labyrinthos.
Yeah,
a lot of us, especially me, thought that was going to be the moon. Like I thought that was going to be the moon area.
I remember that. I remember us talking about them. Yeah.
And then we got a chance at the media tour to go to the capital in Charlian. So like we'd seen all of that, but no, I think zone wise they'll probably hold it a little bit close to the vest from here on out. But they still have classes to reveal. They still have female rogue female Roth to reveal if we get that. That's always felt like the logical time for female Roth was 7.0. When they said it was male Viera with last expansion, it's like, okay, then female Roth will be in 7.0. I do wonder with the graphical updates, if they went back, he talked about how expensive it was to build a new race. I wonder if with the graphical updates, they've made it either less expensive to expand on races or build new races. You don't have to necessarily add new ones. Like World of Warcraft went back and kind of reimagined their existing ones. They do add new ones, but they went back and kind of reimagined, and it was a pretty drastic shift, especially for, you know, like undead for them. Like I always felt was kind of like relatively one note, and now it feels like it's got a lot more diversity. So when you look at something like Hrothgar, where I think there's people that would hope for some more flexibility, it would be neat to see them go back and kind of imagine a wider array of Roth.
I would hope that that's something, because obviously we're getting the multi-dyed, you know, gear in that regard. So they're doing a lot of work under the hood, which I think is really a good sign. And again, if they were able to take the time with the graphical update and work out that these races can now use gear, the fact that obviously like the separating glasses from helmets, like that's a really good move. And I'm happy to see that that is
because they wanted. It's probably because I wanted to have glasses be more visible all the time, but with how the fashion accessory system works, they had to redo it, design it completely, and add it as a separate slot because I don't know if anyone remembers, but the way fashion accessories works is actually their mounts, but with the mounts hidden, sort of thing. It's the same coding as the mount system. It's why they can't be used. It was why they took them a while to be able to use in like battle, and why they can't be used in dungeons and stuff. It took a while.
Now, while Chris has been wanting to try to find a way to play Baldur's Gate 3 like on the go, I know I've been absolutely enjoying that. The other game that I just kind of started to tap into, if you guys haven't seen, I posted a video about it. I've been playing Halo Season 4, and they added like 12 maps. They've really like brought in like so much stuff that I'm like, all right, I still think they need something big, but I only bring that up just to upset Chris just a little bit. I only bring that up.
They're almost to where they should have been at launch.
Almost to where they should have been.
What are they? 2 years in? 3 years in?
Two. So they're like 1.5.
They're coming up on launch, guys. They should have just called it a beta, like Fortnite.
Just label things as beta.
If we were still in beta, it'd be like, we're still in beta.
But think about
Halo Infinite early access.
Yeah. It's only been 8 years, guys.
Only been 8 years beta. Well, that's what the Fortnite deal is, and that's honestly what I've said about like the current state of Halo is that they need a big reinventation to the player base, whether that ends up being like battle royale or an extraction based like they need some kind of big mode. I can't bring myself
to give them the like 2 billion gig off my Xbox hard drive because I have the little 1080p Xbox, so like my hard drive, and I understand you can expand that, but it's also just a good way of like making sure that I'm really using what's installed on there.
And
so like I I mean, it holds a handful of games, but you got to make the roster. And I actually like it that like when I boot it up, I don't have to dig through my whole library. It's like, no, these are the games I already said are the best of what I own right now. And if that's changing, that's changing. But I don't know. It feels like
Xbox. Fine.
It feels like it Halo's just not good enough to make the cut.
You think Xbox is done with Halo?
Why would they be done with Halo?
I don't know. Like, what do you think their what's the rectification? I guess especially for you to either find the time to or the space for it on the hard drive, or is it a new Halo release somewhere down the road?
Overwhelmingly, friends making that choice for me.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. If friends start picking back up the game, I'll go join. But I'm not going to be the catalyst.
I think with them now getting Call of Duty and Activision, I really do think Halo is probably going to be on the back burner for a little while. I think we're more likely getting a new Gears of War than we will Halo.
I think the next game is a Gears of War to come out at some point, but we also know Perfect Dark is making a return, and then beyond those,
one day,
one of these days. But beyond all of that, though, like that, bringing Call of Duty, especially the fact that it's multi, console, and right now an annual release with Call of Duty 3, Modern Warfare 3 being announced for this, coming first or coming to the beta for PlayStation. It's like they haven't closed that deal. We'll see what happens.
If rumors are true, this might be the last Call of Duty game for a long time.
Phil Spencer said he believes that the game is made worse for gamers by keeping it an annualized franchise.
Yeah.
So he does want to continue to release Call of Duty games. He does not want them to feel that they have an annual deadline.
Right.
Which
if the rumors coming out,
agree with.
Right. Modern Warfare.
If the rumors are coming out, if the rumors are coming out right now are true, from what I've heard, Call of Duty is planning to turn straight into a full games of a service title from this year.
Great. It could be like Master Chief Collection, and they just sell me new modes and new maps. The current Call of Duty has been amazing. So I hope they're making money at it. They're not off me. But I'm not your guy. Like, I'm not your microtransaction guy.
Yeah.
I have,
no,
I have
I'm
two
with you
mobile
100%.
apps on my phone that I probably play 2 to 3 times each every day. And in the last month combined, they have both received a solid $0. So I'm not your guy.
Yeah.
No, I'm your guy.
The model. Yes, there are people.
I'm sat here with my Google Platinum
that
account.
I play those games with who are like, it's not a big deal if you just take like $100 out of every paycheck and give it to them. I'm like, that's a car payment going to mobile apps. So there are people that like it doesn't bother them, and maybe they make a lot more money than me. So maybe it's still a car payment.
So no, we're just bad with money.
We're just bad with money.
I think before Xbox would ever be done with Halo, I think that's where you bring Halo to more platforms. It's on PC and Xbox, but it's like at that point, if Call of Duty's over there and it's also a big shooter, like you could end up kind of in a way stair-stepping kind of these two games, especially with Infinite being a service-based kind of model. And if Modern Warfare goes or like Call of Duty goes in that same kind of method, you could end up, I think, given, who knows, like it just having more options for players. But I would fully support that, because I think when it comes down to the player like in a multiplayer game, like having a population of people to pull from ends up, I think, being a bigger draw, as opposed to necessarily like, hey, long queue times, long wait times. I haven't got a match in forever. No one's really playing this game. They're not really supporting it. Same kind of concept with Destiny. I don't know if you guys have been keeping up with that. That update. They released a stated game, got everybody upset, and then the director came out and kind of did a YouTube video as a YouTuber in a way and talked about it, and that seemed to kind of calm everybody's frustrations and worries about that game, because next week is when they do their big final shape announcement, which will kick off the next season of hype for the game itself. So. I think that seems just to be the cycle, for these games and service games.
Speaking of cycle, Twitch seems like it's rumored that if you are banned on a channel, you'll no longer be able to watch. So
I saw that.
Yes, that's an option you can turn on now.
Joke bans, right, where people kind of jokingly ban somebody and then like kind of poke fun and stuff for a bit and then unban them. I assume that'll go away. But more importantly, like, that feels like it encourages account hopping, as opposed to people who are like, I'll just watch and not.
Unless it's some kind of machine, block or something like that, where IP block, right? I don't know what kind of block we're talking about here, because
Yeah, I don't know. I had it sent to me this morning.
It just blocks you from the chat, right? Doesn't IP
there's
block
one
you?
channel here on Twitch that I watch that I'm banned in. And I watch, and I reached out to get unbanned and said I promise not to chat, but I can't see their chat. And then I'm guessing that maybe like Brian went in there and said something or something.
We got banned again. No, we didn't do anything.
That was like a year ago is that we got banned again. And so I just sit there banned. But now
you know what the biggest issue with this is? I just realized, you know what the biggest issue with this is? Asmongold won't be able to do his unbanned streams.
Well, it depends because he can't see the messages. It depends on what kind of tier of ban are we talking about, right? Like, you're sitting down and saying like, okay, is this like a timing? Like, do we then see it like we've timed you out without a end date on this? You've been timed out versus like, okay, you're done. Like I could
should they add like a softer ban since this one's becoming a harder ban?
Yeah, like it just like because you still want to
you just need to not chat for a while. I don't mind that you're here, but stop chatting as opposed to just people I actively don't want here. And so we've created a tool for that or something like that.
Yeah, exactly.
Interesting. I just thought it was weird.
By the way, I think this is also an option that you can turn on and off. So you can change it in the settings
if you want to. Setting.
Interesting.
Fascinating.
Interesting.
All right, let's see here. I saw. I've been trying to get to this topic because I'm very curious. Let's see here. Where did I put that comment? That'd be a great way to kind of kick it off. 1 second. Y'all talk amongst yourselves. Where did it go?
If it's an option, I agree with it wholeheartedly. If it's not an option, it feels like a weird choice. Like there's pros to
all the
it,
pictures I've seen, it shows someone in the settings.
So like you're just moving, you're just changing the good and the bad, and it's like so it gets rid of this bad thing, but like then we get a new bad thing.
All right, so guys, this is a question for all y'all. Are any of you planning on playing Wayfinder? It actually officially launches as part of early access PS5 PC today. It got delayed by a couple of days due to some last minute issues. This is kind of the bigger topic of looking out at the MMORPG scene. Chili, are you planning on playing Wayfinder? Yeah.
Yes, I plan to. I'm gonna be even buying the collector's edition just because I don't want to.
Okay. So you're excited you buy this collector's edition.
Yeah.
How do you justify the jump from normal to collectors? Like, what about the game makes you make that jump?
Well, because the character Pyros, I can't remember the name off the top of my head. 1 second, after we'll check it. 1 second. Because I don't want to give information. I just know there's an exclusive character. Well, it's a character skin technically because you can still get the character, but you won't be able to get this version of the character unless you buy the Exalted pack, which is the most expensive one. The hero Kairos with the Ascended style. Now, most companies, I wouldn't believe them when they say that this is exclusive to the Founders pack, but this is the company that did Warframe, and they referenced this as to Excalibur Prime, and Excalibur Prime was literally only available in the Founders pack, and it's still never been available again, and they will never bring back Excalibur Prime. So if you want this skin, this is the only time you will ever be able to get it.
Interesting. The people in charge of Warframe now, they were at FanFest. FanFest in there. Yeah.
And also
Fido, and he recognized him.
Also, you also for the most expensive one, and I think this is where it gets I think it goes from being cool to a little bit pay to win. And I don't use the pay to win option all the time.
Lightly, yeah.
What?
And because you get an item called the Enchanted Tower Campus, which then for every battle pass that you get an XP bonus.
Forever. It's like this permanent unlock only at that tier. Yeah.
Yeah. So forever
did you get the $150 edition, Chris? Did your dad not pay for the $150 edition?
So for all future battle passes, you get XP.
One of these like little like NFTs would make sense that you could like sell that off.
Yeah.
Right. This permanent thing that you could transfer it from account to account, and they would get a piece of the action. So they would just have like a limited number of these that are out there. Interesting. Okay.
I will say you know how the battle pass works. I'm guessing, Brian.
Yes. So I'm excited. I've been playing Wayfinder, so I'm excited that it's finally launching. And it's not officially. This is like the early access, so PC and PS5, and then eventually it's going to come everywhere with their full release. But the thing that makes me even more excited, because Chris was talking about his hard drive space, like it also is going to be supported by GeForce Now. So it's like when it comes down to it, like, yep, I don't have to actually install the game. I'm ready to rock and roll on my PC or on my handheld, and I can kick back, relax, and grind out and fight back the gloom and things like that. So I'm very excited for it personally, because I like the art style. I think it's fantastic. I've enjoyed the combat. It's an action RPG, MMO light, in that regards, and I think essentially it's going to make it obviously more accessible for people to jump in and play. Somebody was asking me about that last night, because the reason I was like bringing up Halo into this is that I was like, I'm going to be playing some Halo tonight, just like in the Discord. So if you guys are part of the Discord, want to come hang out, jump on in. But I'm not going to be live streaming it, so it's just going to be kind of like a chill Halo night. But yeah, they're like, hey, you're not going to play Wayfinder? It's like I am.
Is it going to be more PvE, like group
PvE.
Focused, solo focused? What's the
group or solo?
Marketed at?
RPG
it's
PvE
focused.
Yeah, PvE focus, and then it's you can do group or you can do solo.
How big are groups?
I think groups go up to 4.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it's 4.
Yeah. Like I'm bouncing
but
around.
No,
yeah.
Talking about the battle pass, though, while we continue with that, I like the fact that they've taken the Halo Infinite model, where if you purchase the battle pass, it's tied to your account, so that you will never lose it in the future.
Never lose it. Never lose it. If you buy it. But the kicker here from a FOMO perspective, which is the kind of the smart salesman FOMO, is you can only then purchase the battle pass during that season. My theory,
right. You're purchasing the spring of 2022 battle pass, and you can work on it right now in 2023, but nobody now can buy that battle pass. You had to have bought it then.
You'd have to have bought it then. I'm betting though that at some point we could see them come and bundle like various different battle passes. Like, hey, did you miss? It's been 2 years. Did you miss 2021? No.
Yeah, Blizzard does that during like anniversary events. They'll create bundles. They'll let you go in and kind of complete maybe old mount collector editions. Now you have to like buy like the whole bundle, and then the price will adjust to what you're missing. Is I think how they did it last time. Yeah, but like you could go back and buy they have like a discount to go back and buy their collector's edition mounts off of previous expansions. But I'm missing so many of them that I couldn't bring myself to do it because it was going to be a lot of money. But like I have a couple friends that they were only missing like 2, and so for them it was like, oh, that's awesome. And the fact that it adjusts down, like, which is something that I feel like Steam did first, where when you go to buy like a 3-pack of games, if you already have one of the games, they just back that out of the price. Because then you don't feel penalized when later they create a box set. You're like, well, I bought the first 3 of 7 of some series, and now I don't want to buy the box set because the savings is totally eaten up by the fact that I'm rebuying 3 of them. So that's awesome. Right. RPG, PvE focused. They're doing housing, crafting, dungeons, raids, MMO light.
Yeah.
It's a new generation of MMOs.
Remember, housing stuff won't be 100% available at launch, if I'm rightly. Like they've said, mounts. Mounts are being added to the game, but the mounts won't be available until end of 2023.
Yeah, and I don't have any problem with that. It's like as long as they keep supporting the game, like that's what I'm excited about, because especially with the seasonal model, like that's where I want games like New World to adopt that same season. Like if you can only purchase the season during the season, but you keep it, like I can accept that. I think that's actually a real fair thing, because stepping back into Halo and seeing all of my past seasons that I hadn't finished, and I'm enjoying the game and I'm having fun playing the game. Like it says, if I still keep having fun, I don't have to sit here and hit that's the thing that drives me nuts about Destiny, is I hit this wall and then it's like, all right, well, like, I guess like all that other stuff that I didn't ever touch, you can't access it. And it's like, come on, like, just let me grind. Let me get that experience. I love that. I love anything that I'm doing that's just giving me that sweet little bit of experience every little bit, and works on it. So yeah, so Wayfinder, absolutely plan on playing it. It technically launches in an hour from the time when we're recording this. However, being that it almost launched and then they're like, sorry guys, we got an issue, they pushed it back a couple of days. I saw people taking off work, like on the thing, hey guys, and then I'm like, oh man, it's always a risk. So we'll let that kind of settle out. I'll be sure to give you guys my actual thoughts with actual gameplay that I've actually filmed myself, probably later this week and more. And if you're interested in teaming up with us, just be part of the Discord. We'll let you know when we're playing, what we're playing in that regards. But I'm excited about that. But also then into what is the outlook for this year. We know we're not getting the Final Fantasy expansion, which some people had hope that people were hoping that they'd see 7.0 this year, which we kept saying that's not the case, but we're seeing that. Throne of Liberty looks to have been pushed by Amazon back to 2024. Blue Protocol already had been. So in my mind, and guys, I don't follow every game out there. We've got Guild Wars next week. They get their expansion. New World's getting their expansion in October. And the only real what's y'all's outlook right now for 2023 in this regards, MMO wise?
It's a good time to be an MMO gamer. Like the fact that I can't even keep track of all of these.
Yeah.
Like there was a time where it felt like we were getting a round of them, but none of them looked particularly strong. So it was like, well, who's going to be left standing? Like, well, thank goodness that we have enough horses in this race that somebody makes it to the finish line. But this actually feels like, remember when we all had like our hopes and dreams hung on like Anthem becoming something awesome. Mm-hmm. So like we're now moving into an era where there are a lot of strong contenders right now, which is great. I don't know if they like cannibalize each other or if the MMO space as a whole just grows. Right?
I think it grows. I think it grows out when you see the business model shifting to things like what Wayfinder's doing, because there's only so much subscription-based MMOs that is I feel like a finite market. You're advertising.
The Battle Pass, buy it and use it later fixes that, because it tells you if I buy it and then 6 weeks in I get addicted to another game and I pivot my game time over there, I'm not actually losing anything. So it feels less risky to buy in.
Right. And thus you can, and also with the aspect that you can only buy in during that season, you're like, listen, I know that Baldur's Gate 3 is out right now and I'm loving it. I know that Starfield comes out in 2 weeks and I know I'm going to be all about playing that game. I'm going to go ahead and just purchase the daggum season pass because I know that once I'm kind of done with those games, maybe, I'll be back. And then
don't forget, by the way, don't forget in 5 days, you've got a new Guild Wars expansion.
That's what we're saying. Like the Guild Wars 2 gets its next expansion. And then New World gets its expansion, which we'll probably learn about New World's expansion at Gamescom, because they're, Amazon and the AGS team's already, out there. And I think that's where they make that announcement, especially with honestly, the best news was that Throne of Liberty is getting pushed back to 2024 for they're also not going to be day and date with the Korean version. So that's I think that just is going to make way more tactical and sense to that game. But with that and Blue Protocol in 2024, I was like, are they literally going to stack up all these MMOs at the same time as their New World MMO expansion? I was like, that just seems like you're pulling from a finite set of a smaller pool that's that doesn't have a lot of time. You're asking for a lot of time from a lot of people in that regards.
When is the New World expansion on that again? Sorry, I just want to double check.
Most likely October. They have not that's what at least from the fall, when you start counting, because they delivered season 2 on time, which it's funny because it's like, yay, you would expect that hopefully is the new norm. It hasn't been the norm for them to deliver updates on time, but they delivered season 2 on time, and so season 3 counts.
I know this will be timing more than anything. I don't think this was planned, but do you think that Final Fantasy 14's new patch will drop on the same day or the same week as New World's expansion?
No, New World's this year. 14's expansion.
No,
is
patch. The patch. You've got 6.5.
That's like man, it would be a Tuesday.
What date are you predicting for New World?
Let's see here. I mean, I would go off I don't have why am I pulling up Slack? That doesn't help me. It's like, so we got August, September, October. I don't have the countdown in front of me. I could actually give you a realistic date, but I would probably say the 17th.
That's after then.
Yeah. I'd put it
Haps,
smack dab.
Haps is who I kind of hold my predictions up against. Haps predicts 6.5 on the 3rd, I believe, and I've got it on the 10th.
And then
I would
when is
I would
the Europe
put money
Fan
on the
Fest?
10th.
When's the Europe Fan Fest?
The
21st
22nd.
or whatever that is.
21st? Is it?
2020.
I thought it is.
Okay, so
27th.
so 6.5 will be
Time is
out. The Xbox
Later.
beta will be out, and then they go right into EU Fan Fest, so they can reveal a little bit more about.
Final Fantasy does not change their schedule, so you're just asking if New World happens to be coming through the station the same time that the Final Fantasy train arrives.
Yeah,
The Final Fantasy, it is a Swiss train schedule. Like
Right.
it leaves on time, it arrives on time.
yeah.
They're not asking.
That's why I said I don't expect it to be planned. I'd expect it to be coincidental if both of them launched at about the same time. Like, I don't think either of them really cared. But I still would have found it interesting if they had.
I'm interested in Yoshi P's thoughts, because he said he was looking forward to playing New World. One of the things that New World does not do, though, that I really think that Amazon needs to do, and I think they're already kind of signaling that they are, is that there is not an SEA region for any of the AGS games. That's Lost Ark and New World right now. However, they are the publisher of Throne and Liberty in Japan. So that to me says, I'm wondering if they will be adding in an SEA region, which would make it easier for people in the SEA area to play New World, to play the global version of Lost Ark, to play the global version of Blue Protocol, play the global version of Throne and Liberty. So
Sure.
I think that is the only logical thing, especially with the action that these games are action-based MMOs, and you want to have as little as ping as possible. Otherwise, you're gonna, the experience is a little bit more struggle. The exception being Throne of Liberty is tab target.
Right. Cool.
And Game Then Grave says 6.6 Hopium inbound. It's a long gap between 6.5 and 7.0. Chili, what do you think about it?
My hopium is if there is a 6.6, I want them to add a new raid tier. And I know we've finished the raid story right now of the current,
separate raid tier. 4 bosses, 1 and done.
4 bosses, 1 and done, and I want them to be rips of the Final Fantasy 16 icon fights.
Oh,
that way they don't have to redo the models, and they've got a lot of the mechanics already done. They just have to change some of it.
That'd be cool. It's not gonna happen. Like I'm just not in the 6.6 camp. And if there was chance for the 6.6, I had it on the spreadsheet as a potential thing we were tracking. I think the optimal time to reveal it would have been FanFest NA when rolling out the time schedule. And I think
the weird issue is the fact that
sorts of buzz. And don't tell people what's in it. And then at EU FanFest go, oh, I guess we didn't tell you guys what was in it.
Yeah.
And then kind of give like the world's roughest outline. Like it'll have MSQ and 1 dungeon and a weird tombstone that works differently and a raid tier. And then like, don't tell us about the raid tier. And then at JP FanFest, start to reveal a little more. So like, I think you could have trickled it out, but the fact that they didn't say anything in NA, I think it makes it a non-starter.
I just think it's going to be like it's weird, but because they've got such a long gap between 6.5 and release, but there's such it's like if you put 6.6 in somewhere in the schedule, you're probably not going to have enough time between 6.5 and 7.0. But there's it's like a weird like
I thought 6.
The time.
I thought 0.55 would be before Japanese FanFest. So the fact that they announced that it's after is what killed the 6.6 hopes. Because now there's not time. Unless a 0.6 patch doesn't get a half patch. Because there's never been a 0.6 patch, so it can make up whatever rules it wants. So if a 0.6 does not get a half patch, there's still room. How would you feel about that, Chili? Does it need a half patch? Does it need a relic update?
I mean, the issue is if you get a 6.6 patch, then clearly you need a 6.6.6 patch just to have the 666.
And that's where the relic turns into a frying pan. That's when the Manderville weapons become Mandervillian.
And the Diablo crossover.
In the 0.666.
Welcome to the Diablo 4 Final Fantasy 14 crossover patch 6.66.
Couldn't resist. It's our fun, cozy podcast stream. The
ultimate Manderville.
Yeah,
it's just the fights from that Hildy quest line. as an ultimate.
I'm still coping that the relic weapons will have an MGP bonus at the end. Like, that's my cope. I'm hoping that because of all the gold saucer references, that they add a buff to the relic weapon where if you're using the relic weapon and you're in the gold saucer, anytime you do an event, you get like the FC buff.
It would be really interesting if when you're running around the golden saucer, the relic displayed differently. So you can't ruin people's MSQ experience. You don't want people getting ruined by like a blue pig with a hammer. Like, it just totally breaks their immersion. So I would switch to a frying pan immediately. I've never bought a weapon off the store, but I would buy a frying pan immediately.
Isn't the next step?
And if Yoshi P hears about this, I'm not entirely sure that there's a price where that's not true. I think I buy it immediately regardless. Probably while we film a video about how it's way too high priced. But I bought it anyway.
Spoilers, Patrick. There will be another relic step where you have to pay 1,000 times.
Yeah, that's what
I don't know. It's 1,500, isn't it? Or is it 1,000? Yeah, it's 1,500. Sorry. So no, you're right. There won't be another one where you pay 1,000. Instead, there'll be one where you pay 1,500.
That's what we call mechanics. Chili, got a question for you. What's the time frame on a new limited job? It feels like that is something that is announced, and I'm always just wondering if there's anything about it going to happen ever again. What do you think?
NA FanFest would have been the best time to announce it for 6.5, in my opinion. Well, 6.5 series.
Yeah, the CEO coming out in the suit was a little disappointing. I leaned over and said, "What's he going to be wearing? What's he going to be wearing?" Because they announced him coming out, and there was like a nice 30-second to a minute window where I think many of us held our breath. And it was like, "Oh, is he going to come in dressed as a new limited job?" Because that's how they revealed Blue Mage.
Right. And then that's where I kind of got distracted, because I was like, "Oh, they're going to bring back the CEO." Because I was like, he's winding up to bring somebody on, and I go, "Oh, maybe he's going to bring out the CEO in the new limited job outfit." Then he's like, "Bill Spencer," and I was like, "Mother of God!" It's like, oh my gosh. So like that was something where I was like, do you do that, like, or do you save something like that for like EU FanFest or something of that nature? Because you want to make sure every FanFest they get something, right? You don't want to just blow it all in the first one.
The reason Blue Mage was announced at NA FanFest is because it released before the expansion. It came in the 0.5 patch.
Correct.
So you had to announce it that early. So if it's coming next expansion, there's still time to announce it.
Yeah.
If it's coming next expansion, then it probably won't be till 7.1.
Right. 7.1 would be a really good time to introduce something like that new limited job action again, because now you're back over in the new world. They've already, like, whatever the two new jobs themselves are, have been announced, and then you bring it, then you're like, hey, and by the way, new 6.1, and you get to play through the expansion. Blue Mage gets an update, and then you can kind of get into that patch cycle. I think that gives a lot of replayability, depending on what they decide to do, for the life of the expansion itself. Where do you fall in the new jobs? Two melees. Like, where are you in the Geomancer?
Well, no, it's one melee, one mage, right?
One melee, one caster.
Damage
dealers, 2 DPS, which he said he'd never do again.
Yeah, until now, where they don't really have many choices, because the choices are probably
you drop to one job.
What?
I'm surprised they
I think they want to do that yet.
Yeah. Well,
I told everyone I'm expecting. Sorry.
No, I was gonna say if they do go to the one job, it then they'll become a narrative speculation, like, oh no, like they're starting to really slow this down. But 2 for 7.0, I think kind of showcases still a renewed commitment to 14. But go ahead, Chile. I didn't mean to cut you off.
All I'm gonna say is I was expecting the physical ranged more than an actual magical ranged. I was expecting because they like to do their pairs now, because you've got 2 main tanks, 2 off tanks, you've got the 2 shield healers, 2 main healers. I was expecting another physical range, so then we would have 2 buffers with Bard and Dancer, and then 2 physical range DPS with Machinist and question mark job. That was my guess. So the fact that we're getting another magical ranged, I guess, makes sense, but I'm not sure how it's going to play just yet. I'm still hoping. I'm still got my fingers crossed for Pictomancer.
Pictomancer, yeah.
And of course, physical range. I think everyone's expecting Corsair. But I expect it to be Corsair in name only. I don't expect many features from Fantasy 11's Corsair to be in this one.
See, that would be like the dream setup for me in this regards, where it's like you have the curated, which is the jobs that we have now, and then every job had their own limited version that they could go and do all this wild, wacky stuff. But that in and of itself, design and development and deployment wise, would be just that'd be absurd. Like, there's just no way that would ever happen. The I don't know how to feel about the Geomancer crew, because every expansion, especially since every speculated Geomancers that people are coming out, always Geomancer, never Geomancer. Is it? I don't think it's Geomancer this
That's
time.
how they spin the game off into maintenance mode.
Oh yeah, it's done when Geomancer.
That's it. When they give us Geomancer, they're done.
Yeah. They brought it into 11, and it's just like, it makes me just kind of go like, okay, like it could be. I'd love for them to be happy if it was, but a part of me is just like, just have them keep hoping.
But the thing is, that as I said, as Link said in chat, Geomancer is in 14. Geomancer already is in 14.
Yep.
If you play through the Astrologian storyline, you meet a Geomancer NPC, and it's a healer. They're instead of healing by the stars, they heal by the earth.
Right.
I thought it was a healer fam, not a DPS. If I'm rightly.
Yeah, Geomancer and Astrologian would have been an interesting system that branched off of a class, right? So whereas, as opposed to just being a straight up job, because you could be like, I'm going to be somebody who focuses on the stars, and then Geomancer would be like, I'm going to focus in on the earth in this case. So it is what it is. Any other thoughts you guys have? Because Chris, what do you got planned for the rest of the day?
Getting ready to be out of town, making sure the house is maintained and stuff like that. So I have to go mow the yard, and it's not even picking up the temperature right now, which is a good sign. I assume it's hot.
It's been hot, but I felt like the last couple of days have been
yesterday it dropped
terrible.
To 90. It was
very 90.
Enjoyable.
I was like, this is.
I almost put a jacket on.
What about Chili? What about you, Chili? What do you got coming up?
Today I'm going to be jumping back into Fantasy 11 as long as my internet holds up. I've been having some internet problems since yesterday. We're going to go fight Matt, and we're going to slowly work towards the Shadow Lord. So, yay!
Well, good luck to that.
Sweet.
Thank you.
Yeah, I really want to jump back in and do some retail 11, but I just got so much that I'm just kind of playing and enjoying on my own right now. So, yeah, we'll get maybe one of these days. I like to try to revisit it once a year for at least a month. I haven't come back this year.
I haven't revisited it retail since 10 years, like 5-6 years ago. So
yeah, cool.
And even then I didn't really go that far. So
good stuff. All right, guys, thanks for hanging out with us for our cozy stream. Chris, are you continuing on Twitch, or are you just?
No, my wife just walked in the door, so I need to make sure that everything's good. That she has.
Everything.
I don't know what all she's expecting me to have done before I leave town. I know what I'm expecting, and I just want to make sure those lists are aligned.
All right, and
make sure we haven't overlapped in some way.
The guys, be sure to go and check out Chili's stream, Go Around Radio. Congratulations on 1,000 followers over there for you and your podcast. Thanks for letting us come and hang out with you sometimes on that too. And I'm glad we finally got to sit down and do something. I'm going to try to be a little bit more like, the podcast is Brian and Chris, and I'm just gonna be like, and if anybody else wants to be the guest this week, it should be pretty chill as we kind of jump back in and get this going. Monday, Epic Loot Radio kicks off here at Work the Game. I'm gonna be talking with Kirk the Gamer, and we're gonna be just talking about what's going on with Starfield, Xbox, and the Series S. Who knows what else we'll come up with? So hopefully you'll come and hang out with that. But I'm gonna go ahead and broadcast. Thanks for being a part of our cozy podcast here for a Thursday. We'll be back next Thursday for I know you're out of town. You're back next. Okay, cool. Okay, confirm. Podcast next week, this same time, same channel. You're in the right spot. So like, sub, share, all that great stuff. And be sure to come hang out with us in Discord and play some games. Anyway, guys, hit and broadcast. Love you.